At William Pickle Old Post Road Elementary School, we value our opportunities to teach the whole child. Our shared commitment to ongoing professional learning requires a consistent focus on best practices for several years in a row to allow ample time for learning, growth, and collaboration. Thank you to our instructional leadership team and extremely talented special education colleagues for your work in backward mapping and planning our year-long focus of professional learning. Join me as we reflect on our year of whole child CFIP professional learning. At WPOPR, we recognize that our children depend on us to support their academic growth, but we also know that we must touch their hearts before we can even think about touching their minds. A vision is lost if our school family doesn't have input in setting it in motion. The survey results below shaped our focus to extend our learning around planning, mindfulness, and restorative practices to support the whole child, the whole educator, and the whole family. As the planning continued, our backward map came into focus to illustrate a cycle of improvement. As educators, we appreciate details, and we all love a good visual that illustrates each professional learning session. These pieces fit together to form the perfect puzzle. 2 buildings tried to be an obstacle for our school family, but we tackled that obstacle with the help of COVID-19 and decided to go virtual for our vertical meetings. This not only brought multi-grade levels together, but saved time in walking between buildings. I call that a win. We learned very quickly that valuable ideas lie within our buildings and only grow when we communicate across grade level teams. Remind me again, why focus on the whole child during CFIP meetings? Well, because we know the strong relationships between intentional planning, effective lesson implementation, and safe classroom environments. As we've heard before, educating the mind without educating the heart is truly no education at all. Relationships have always been a top priority at WPOPR. Belonging is such a powerful word and essentially means that achievement occurs in the context of our relationships. We know that nobody cares how much you know until they know how much you care. We started our learning around planning through a lens of urgency. Those who write about a sense of urgency in the classroom recognize that it begins with a mindset and practices that convey to students really high expectations for academic performance. When we are planning with a sense of urgency, we truly understand the impact around pacing of lessons. We aim to use every second of our time to support the academic, social, and emotional growth of our students because we know how limited our time is throughout the school day. If urgency is important, planning with intention is just as vital. We understand that establishing the destination for students is essential in order to backward map and align learning opportunities to the lesson or unit outcomes. When we are urgent and intentional, we often capture the minds and bodies of our student audience during lessons. As we have studied for years, that immediate engagement serves as the first hook in building excitement and a sense of suspense for the learning objective across content areas. Singing, capitalizing on student interest, differentiation, hands-on, technology platforms, and opportunities for movement are just a few of our ideas to support student and teacher engagement during lessons. This graphic right here, this is when we stop and ask ourselves, would I want to be a learner in my own classroom? Remember, teachers are not defined by their lesson plans. They are defined by their passion. As our year of learning continued, we moved on to preventative mindfulness. Preventative means a design to keep something undesirable, such as illness, harm, or accidents, from occurring. Proactive also comes to mind when talking about preventative mindfulness. A proactive approach focuses on eliminating problems before they have a chance to appear, versus a reactive approach, which is based on responding to events after they have happened. The difference between these two approaches is the perspective each one provides in assessing actions and events. A reaction may result in a positive or negative outcome, whereas a response is engineered to produce a positive or negative outcome. Reacting is emotional. Responding is emotional intelligence. In the middle of a lesson, one of your students deliberately makes an offensive remark that causes the other students to laugh and threatens to derail your lesson. Your fists start to clench and there's a tightening in your chest. Counting to 10, private talks, offering kind words, taking a moment to engage in calmness, redirection, deep breaths, ignoring the behavior are just a few ways our family responds. In the words of L.R. Nost, discipline is helping a child solve a problem. Punishment is making a child suffer for having a problem. To raise problem solvers, focus on solutions, not retribution. Assume the best. In other words, look for the good. From the start of our focus around mindful behaviors, it was the hope to build staff curiosity around this concept. Our family doesn't view mindfulness as an initiative. Rather, we see mindfulness as a part of our school culture. Mindfulness is interwoven throughout our school day to build empathy and strengthen our entire school community. In other words, we listen to understand instead of listening to respond. There's a huge difference. Although our minds are often full, with a high level of intention, we were able to prioritize our thoughts to reflect in a mindful manner. Your life is a reflection of your thoughts. If you change your thinking, you change your life. Mindful or mindful? The choice is ours.
Our learning team used the momentum from our data, our goals, and our kickoff to design tiered teacher and student supports through mindfulness tied to academic success. We started by taking our research and directly applying strategies to our tiers of students through whole group, Tier 1, small group, Tier 2, and individualized Tier 3 instruction. The learning team and students shared these concepts with staff and each other. Our staff began to use these tiered supports and work together to design their own to support student needs. Today with a book that's a little more child-friendly. This is a book that has a lot of strategies for both families and for students that you can try in your classroom. And right now we're really focusing on how do we explain this whole thing of mindfulness to our families.
This has changed my classroom in several different ways. If we look at my class as a whole, I teach pre-K and we have a very difficult time transitioning from one activity to the next, and doing a mindfulness activity between each transition that lasts maybe even just a minute has settled the children and they're ready to learn.
I will add comments and I won't stop. Let's make ourselves into spiders. Arms up.
When the pandemic began, headlines focused on students. While we had already started our mindful journey, ABC and child experts spoke to the importance of mindfulness during COVID-19. We created a mindful menu of 12 practices for students and families to try. We then turned these practices into easily accessible videos called the Mindful Minutes. These videos shared practices in a few minutes or less. Teachers embedded these practices into their day, sharing with families the importance of weaving in mindfulness for all. Guardians began sharing in the benefits of these practices and even sent in videos and pictures.
I pulled this out of my intention bucket, and I want you to say this to yourself right now. Today will be a good day. And say it a couple more times. Today will be a good
Moving forward
day.
with and without the pandemic, the importance of interwoven mindfulness bloomed for our students and staff.
All right, Isabella, show your internal weather this morning.
Cloudy.
Why are you cloudy this morning?
Because today we only have a half a day of school.
It's important that we pay attention to the clues our body is giving us. Yeah, our hands feel like rocks. I feel so angry.
Sometimes we have all these feelings and emotions inside of us, and we don't know what they are, and we need to dig a little deeper to figure it out.
What are some things we can do as a class of students to show our gratitude to a person or a place?
Look what Johanna wrote, by cleaning the classroom.
Yes.
While our mindful journey is continuous, because the seeds of mindfulness are always being planted and grown, at William Paca Old Post Road, we are committed to providing these practices for the well-being of our staff and our students.
This is something that you can do, just like your belly breathing, just like you're tracing your leaves, to ground yourself, right? And get yourself back together if you have a challenge, a storm, or a cloudy day.
And we're learning how gratitude and thankfulness fills us up. It fills up our hearts, and it fills up our brain, and it makes us happy.
Think, what matters most to you today?
Our intention for the day today and every day, we want to remind ourselves that showing gratitude does not always have to be a material thing. So a lot of you put in that Padlet that just smiling at someone, saying thank you, being kind.
I can let negative thoughts go.
I can let negative thoughts go.
I can let negative thoughts go. Negative thoughts. I can let negative thoughts go.
Fantastic. All right.
All right, my friends, it's time to report our inside weather. And remember, whether you feel sunny or rainy or cloudy or a thunderstorm, we can use our mindful strategies to weather the storm and come out better.
Our school family has engaged in ongoing reflection of this past year through the COVID-19 pandemic, and we are proud of our growth. The struggle was powerful, but so was the learning. We are closer to families than we have ever been in previous years. We used our relationship skills to build solid connections with students in person and through the computer cameras. We have tweaked and prioritized curriculum across content areas to identify the big rocks. We have learned more about technology in 12 months than we ever thought possible. We have done the impossible, and we are better because of this experience. As many of you have shared during our various conversations, we are not willing to go back to our old school way of teaching. As Socrates stated, the secret to change is to focus all of your energy, not on fighting the old, but on building the new. Restorative practices was our third key focus during Whole Child CFIP professional learning this year and the newest learning for WPOPR. The fundamental premise of restorative practices is that people are happier, more cooperative and productive, and more likely to make positive changes when those in authority do things with them rather than to them or for them. Would your response to student misbehavior work on you as the adult? Here's another one we live by. If the parents of our students were lined up in the back of our classrooms, would we respond to the children or child in the same manner? We understand as a school community that we can always do better, learn more, and grow as a family. Great things never come from our comfort zone. That goes for adults and children. Children love when their teachers and parents are consistent because they are able to predict how they will act. A consistent approach to discipline helps put kids in control of their behavior. A consistent approach is shown through a clear set of limits and boundaries that provide kids with structure and teaches them how to behave. A conflict in a classroom doesn't involve victory or defeat. It's all about reaching an understanding and letting go of our need to be right. Some of our most successful restorative circle strategies include making use of the Y team, working to include every child in our circle discussions, reminders and modeling of the golden rule, making some old-fashioned connections with star students, sending students or families good news through the mail, or sending families teacher video recordings to celebrate student success. The questions displayed are a great starting point, but tone of voice matters and the modeling lies with us. We recognize that 10% of conflicts are due to difference in opinion, and 90% of conflicts is due to the tone of voice or nonverbal cues. We have big plans that are already in motion to support the restorative approach at our school. We hold lunch bunches, we make ourselves available, we embed those emotional weather check-ins, we practice interwoven mindfulness throughout the school day, and we maintain our commitment to morning meetings. Sometimes we need someone to be there with us, not to fix the problem, not to offer advice, not to do anything in particular, to simply be present with what we're feeling, to show up and acknowledge what we're going through and hold a supportive, safe space for us to do with what's showing up for us. Restorative practices provide that level of support we need as adults and our children surely deserve. As Frederick Douglass stated, it is easier to build strong children than to repair broken men. We must celebrate the restorative practices we already have in place at WPOPR. We are raising adults, and they are relying on us for their future. We teach, we teach, we teach. This quote holds a tremendous amount of truth for our adults as well. We are fortunate to be surrounded with colleagues that only want to lift us higher. As a school, we are ready for Phase 2 of Whole Child CFIP. We have built a strong foundation and we are ready for next steps to add to our school culture. We are worth it, and so are our little penguins. Because we have mastered the art of survey responses, our school family provided valuable insights as to how we can improve our Whole Child CFIP professional learning. The next few slides will outline those suggestions. Rest assured, the planning team is listening and will continue to welcome your ongoing feedback because we recognize the success of professional learning lies with all of us. As we look to the 2021-2022 school year, we are excited to make additional connections to the Danielson domains, continue our vertical and grade level team structures, and build upon those very important family connections. Thank you for your commitment to continuous professional growth as we work together as school teachers to support the whole child, whole family, and each other. As we bring this year of professional learning to closure, my hope is that you look forward to next year as we continue to grow as a family. Our school has the right people, the right students, and the right families. No one belongs here more than you.